It should have been a simple decision, one that many actors make without hesitation. When the idea of auctioning off iconic costumes from Outlander was brought up, fans assumed Sam Heughan would be among the first to agree. After all, these kinds of auctions often serve a meaningful purpose, raising money for charity while giving fans a chance to own a piece of television history. It felt like a natural step, something that aligned perfectly with both the show's legacy and the community built around it. But Sam said no. And that one decision immediately sparked curiosity. Because this wasn't just any costume. It was part of the identity of Jamie Fraser, a character that has defined Sam's career for years. The boots, the coat, the kilt, each piece carries the weight of countless scenes, moments that fans remember not just for what happened, but for how they felt. Letting go of something like that isn't just about giving away fabric. It's about parting with a symbol. At first, fans didn't understand. Why refuse something that could do good? Why hold on to an item that could bring joy to someone else? The questions came quickly, and with them, speculation. Some assumed it was a practical decision, others thought it might be related to contracts or ownership. But the more Sam spoke about it, the clearer it became that the answer was far more personal. It wasn't about value. It was about meaning. For Sam, the costume wasn't just a prop, it was a connection to a journey that spanned years of his life. Every time he wore it, it represented not just the character, but the process of becoming that character. The long days on set, the physical demands of filming, the emotional weight of certain scenes, all of it became tied to something tangible. And that changes how you see it. Because when an object holds that kind of memory, it stops being interchangeable. It stops being something that can simply be passed on, even for a good cause. It becomes a reminder of a specific experience, one that can't be recreated or replaced. That's what makes this decision so different. In an industry where memorabilia is often treated as collectible, Sam's refusal stands out. It suggests that not everything is meant to be shared, at least not in a physical sense. Some things are kept not out of attachment to the object itself, but to what the object represents. Fans began to see that perspective more clearly. The idea that this costume had been part of defining moments in the series, moments that shaped both the character and the actor behind it. It wasn't just about what audiences saw on screen, it was about everything that happened behind it. The preparation, the repetition, the transformation that turned a script into something real. And suddenly, the refusal made sense. Because giving it away would mean letting go of more than just a piece of clothing. It would mean separating from a part of that experience in a way that didn't feel right. Not because it needed to be held onto forever, but because it still carried something unfinished, something that hadn't yet reached its natural end. There's also something else beneath the surface. A sense that this costume represents more than a role, it represents a chapter. One that is still ongoing, still evolving, still connected to everything that comes next. As long as that chapter continues, the object remains part of it, not as a relic, but as something active, something present. That perspective changes how fans view the decision. It's no longer about refusal, it's about preservation. Not of the item itself, but of the meaning attached to it. The idea that some things can't be separated from the journey they belong to, at least not until that journey is complete. And that's what makes this moment so compelling. Because it reveals something about Sam Heughan that goes beyond the role he plays. It shows how deeply he connects with the work, how much of himself is invested in the process, and how that connection continues even when the cameras stop rolling. Which leaves one question lingering. If the costume represents more than just a physical object, then the real story isn't about why Sam Heughan refused to auction it, it's about what that choice reveals about the journey behind it. Because for something to feel that personal, it has to be tied to moments that go beyond what the audience sees. The costume wasn't just worn in iconic scenes of Outlander, it was part of the process that brought those scenes to life. Every movement, every reaction, every emotional shift happened while wearing it, turning it into something that absorbed the experience itself. And that changes everything. What fans often see as a finished product is, for the actor, a collection of countless in-between moments. The rehearsals that didn't go as planned, the adjustments made on the spot, the emotional build-up before a difficult scene, these are the parts that stay with someone long after filming ends. And when all of those experiences are connected to a single object, that object becomes something far more difficult to let go of. It becomes a memory you can hold. That's why the word embarrassing, awkward, or even ordinary doesn't apply here. Even if the costume looks like something that could be replicated or replaced, what it represents cannot. It carries a timeline, a progression, a record of how a character, and the person portraying him, evolved over time. And that's something no auction can capture. Fans may receive the physical item, but they don't receive the history embedded within it. They don't carry the weight of the scenes filmed in it, the energy of the set, or the subtle changes that happened from one season to the next. Those things remain with the person who experienced them. And Sam seems to understand that deeply. His decision suggests that not all connections need to be externalized. Some are meant to stay internal, preserved not for display, but for reflection. It's not about denying fans the opportunity to own a piece of the show. It's about recognizing that some pieces are inseparable from the person who lived through them. That perspective also reflects something larger. A respect for the journey itself. In a time where memorabilia is often commercialized and distributed, choosing to hold onto something can be a way of honoring what it meant, rather than what it's worth. It shifts the focus from ownership to experience, from object to meaning. And that's where the emotional weight really comes in. Because this isn't just about a costume, it's about everything that came with it. The growth, the challenges, the moments that defined both the character of Jamie Fraser and the actor portraying him. Letting go of that too early might feel like closing a chapter that isn't quite finished. So instead, it stays. Not as something to be hidden, but as something to be kept until the right moment, if that moment ever comes. And maybe that's the real answer. Not that Sam refused to share something valuable, but that he chose to keep something irreplaceable. And in many ways, that choice reveals something even deeper about how Sam Heughan views his role beyond the screen. Because for him, this isn't just a performance that ends when filming wraps, it's a chapter that continues to live with him, evolving as long as the story itself continues. The costume becomes a symbol of that ongoing connection, something that anchors him to the journey even when he steps away from the set. It's not about holding on to the past, but about recognizing that the past is still part of the present. That's why letting go feels premature. Fans often see the final version of a character, but actors live through every stage of becoming that character. The uncertainty at the beginning, the gradual confidence, the moments where everything finally clicks, those experiences don't disappear once the scene is complete. They stay, shaping how the actor sees both the role and themselves. And sometimes, they stay in the smallest, most tangible ways. That's what makes this decision resonate far beyond a simple yes or no. It becomes a reflection of respect, not just for the character of Jamie Fraser, but for the entire journey that brought him to life. And for many fans, that understanding only deepens their connection, because it shows that what they felt watching the story was just as real for the person living it. And maybe that's what makes this story resonate so strongly with fans. Because in a world where so much is shared, sold, and turned into memorabilia, this decision feels different. It feels human. Sam Heughan isn't rejecting the idea of giving, he's protecting something that still holds meaning in a way that can't be replicated. And that choice, simple as it may seem, adds a layer of authenticity that fans can feel. In the end, it's not about a costume at all. It's about knowing when something has become part of you, and understanding that not everything meant to be remembered is meant to be let go. If the costume is still too meaningful to let go, what does that say about everything it represents?